A police officer and a designer are walking down the streets together. It sounds like the beginning of a good joke. But there's no punchline. There's seeing two completely different things. The police officer thinks, what are I would try to fix it, and the designer asks, what are we try looking at? The police officer wants to make it smaller, and the designer wants to make it bigger. They're seeing two completely different realities. The police officer zooms in on the problem. The designer zooms out to the system around it. The police officer wants certainty. And the designer, uncertainty. And right there, friction occurs. My name is Arnoud Grootenboer, and I work exactly on that friction point. In many ways, I'm both. And I realize something. We're missing something. Between policing and design. Between solving and exploring. Between acting quickly or create a space where something new could emerge. And I believe something lies between those worlds. What if policing is not so much about design? What if it's not so much about emergencies or control or solutions? What if it's more about imagination? Maybe design can teach us something about responsibility. For a long time, I thought my job as a police officer was to fix things, step forward, take charge, move on. I think that was my responsibility. I was trained to do. People expect that from you. You have to do that. You have to act quickly. You have to make it safe. Over time, I noticed something. The situations that stayed with me were not the one who called for a solution. I was only a part of it. I remember a night in Rotterdam. There was a shooting. It was somewhere around midnight. And it was simple. My job was, as a community police officer, to stand with the red and white tape and keep people back. Okay, that's simple. But what stood out were the kids, young kids. And I thought, what are they doing there? Shouldn't they be in bed? So I thought, simple, let's bring them home. But once I did, it wasn't simple at all. I found poverty, overcrowded homes, and situations far beyond anything I could fix. And that's the moment you realize I'm doing my job, but I'm not solving anything. And really, that's uncomfortable. Because everything around you says you should fix it. You step forward. You take the responsibility. But what if the definition is too small? If we keep approaching complex social problems with the same mindset of fixing, we might maintain the system producing them. And nothing really changes. Of course, we get better in managing of problems, better at responding. But situations itself, they stay the same. And for a long time, I thought it was my individual responsibility, mine alone. But starting to slow something, it's not more about me as a police officer. It's more about people we created it around it. So what about the environment around it? Is it how we choose to look? Is it how we choose to act? Because what if responsibility is not where we thought it was? What's in the problem? But in the environment around it? About the conditions we created? And that question about conditions, that stayed with me. That changed everything for me. And I found a part of the answer, not on the street, but in a museum. Boijmans van Beuningen. There was an exhibit called Change the System. And there were social designers working with the same kind of societal challenges as the police officers, but worked in a different way, totally different way. They invite people in, they engage with people. They're working not on the problem, but working with the problem. And that was really inspirational. What struck me was also that they invite people, other people, who will never be a part of the solution before. So that's what I saw an opportunity for the police. And I started to experiment. We brought police officer and social designers together. We asked them not only about the difficult questions, but also the questions they felt personally connected to. And they searched for answers like, how do citizens view the police? Or how can I discover qualities to de-escalate situations? Or how can I connect with refugees? And together they worked almost a year working together with this kind of program, with kind of challenges. And we called it Social Design Police. A program in the Dutch organization, in the Dutch police organization, for self-reflection, experimentation, and learning. And in those collaborations, something started to shift. It was interesting. Not in the police officer themselves, but also in the designer. The police officer learned what it meant to slow down, and the designer learned what it meant to work with the urgency of a police force. And together they created a kind of shared language. Invite people in, residents, colleagues, even people who were never part of the solution before. Questions became shared instead of owned. And that's the moment you create a space and you open up the space. Take Lotte and Yuri, for example. They opened up the space for the question like, how do people view the police? They worked with the project All Cops Are. And some people said, all cops are bitches. All cops are bastards. And some people also said, all cops are heroes. They made a series of videos that were used at the police academy, showcased at the Dutch Design Week, and later on became a traveling exhibit, visiting town halls, libraries, and even a church. Also, the next step was that local police officers and also local partners were organizing side events and also events about reflection and conversations. And I think that is unexpected momentum. And that's where the real shift happens. So it's not longer you can carry on your own. It becomes something shared. Not because you solved the problem, but because you created the space around it. So maybe responsibility is not where we thought it was. Not in the problem, but more in the space we create around it. Because once that space exists, people see themselves differently. And they act differently. New possibilities can take shape. And we often ask, who is responsible for the problem? But maybe the better question is, who takes responsibility for the space around it? For the space in between? The space where nothing is clear yet, where perspectives could collide and where something new could emerge. So the next time you think, this is not mine, ask yourself, what if you treated it as yours?